It's on now. All right, y'all ready? All right, I want to welcome everybody. If I could, 6 o'clock, I'd like to get started on the February 20th, 2024 meeting. If I get approval agenda at this time.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, aye? Aye. Ms. King? Would you, we sure appreciate you opening up an invocation and pledge.
Yes. Let us pray. Father, we just thank you so much for tonight. We thank you for leaders who care about this community, about each other, about you. We thank you for the favor that you have poured over this county, because there are godly people here who love you and are here to serve you, and the love and the devotion that they show each other. I just thank you so much for our community, for Jones County, and for the just favor and blessing that you poured over it. And Father, we ask you to give wisdom to everyone here tonight, that you just direct our steps and show us exactly what we need to do in the best way possible. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. King, thank you very much. All right, if we may, we'll move on to consent agenda approval for the minutes. We had the first Tuesday of February on February 6th, along with the executive session on the 6th, and we had a call meeting on February 12th. If y'all had an opportunity to look at and review the minutes, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second, any discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Let's have it. Ms. King, library update.
Yes, I am.
Got your smiling face, Errol.
I'm so excited. Are y'all ready? So, I have some slides, and you tell me, do I just look at you? And tell me? Okay. Here we go. So, first of all, thank you so much for supporting the library like y'all do. It's tremendous help and support to us. It has, as I've said before, become the community center of Gray. We have between 150, 200 people every single day. I left packed when I came over here, with children playing and people studying and teachers tutoring and just a little bit of everything going on. So we're thrilled with how everything's going, and I just want to give y'all an update on that. So this is just a couple of our displays that we have. It's just cute. You just see what my staff does. That was a Thanksgiving about 9 November. This is one of our storytellers. That was Trish Ash. She came, and we have a lot of that going on. We have a lot of kids in the library. It's not a quiet place. We never shush. No shushing's allowed, because there's plenty of room in the back to study and the computer lab. But we just want it to be a place where all family members can come and enjoy and have fun. This was something we had right before Christmas. We had they were making placemats for Christmas. So all the kids came out, we had tables set up, and that was packed, and they were coming and making placemats. We would laminate them, and they could take them home, so it's just something fun for the kids to do. This is my staff, and they're trying to untangle Christmas lights, but I just want to say, y'all let me add a position last year. I could never have done what we do without her, and now we've added a student interns. Now we have 4 more people helping me at the library. But they are the reason the library is where it is. They know every patron by name. They look for books for them. They're help. I mean, they are in the computer lab. They may spend an hour in there with someone helping them find a resume or look up something that they need, a form or state housing, or it goes on and on and on. So they are tremendous, and I can't say enough about my staff. This is a movie. We have the book to movie 3rd through 5th graders, but actually the whole family comes every month, and they have a book they read. It's book to movie club. So they read a book, and then at the end of the month they watch the movie. So they all bring their sleeping bags or their blankets, their pillows, and we have popcorn, and they all watch the movie. So that's one of our family events that we have. This is Wiggle Worms. Every Wednesday we have 0 to 5-year-olds. On the right they're having a snowball fight, and those are like not real snowballs, of course. And on the left they were making a craft. This is one of our biggest programs. Sometimes we have 50 people there, and you've never seen anything until you see 30 0 to 5-year-olds. But it's growing and growing and growing, and we're so excited about this, because it's bringing these kids in, it's teaching them, to read, to love the library. And it is growing. We Wednesday mornings, if you could ever be over there at 10 o'clock, you just would not believe your eyes, because it's just solid kids.
I know what the snowball fight is now. My granddaughter's like snowballs. I'm going,
Yeah.
okay, I've gotten educated on the snowball.
It was wild. It was wild. It's still, we've done it several times. They love that. We're in partnership with the Board of Education. They had a literacy night in November. They had a vaping class for adults and, for the kids, high school kids and their parents. Gave out a lot of literature. We do this 2 to 3 times a year with them. It's big. A lot of people come to the library, which is wonderful, and we just have a lot of handouts to give them, things to help them with literacy, so we work with the Board of Education on that. This is another initiative we have. It's called Growing Greyhounds. This is for children 0 to 5-year-olds. We have Pete the Cat come, Santa Pete. You can see all the people there. That was just in one afternoon. But we're trying to give parents the tools they need to teach their kids to read. So we're giving out lots of handouts, a lot of websites, books. We have just piles of stuff that we give out during these. We do 4 of these a year. So Kristen Beaver with the Board of Education and Joy Carr with Family Connections and I run this program. And it's just grown and grown, and you can see how many people came. So that's very exciting, and we just signed them up for that. And these are just some little kids. We were singing Jingle Bells, and it was so cute. I had to put that picture up there. So we have, actually, most libraries are mostly for kids. I mean, most of their programming is for children. And we certainly have a lot of that. But our biggest amount of programming we do is for adults, and a lot of our senior adults. We have something once a month called Brunch Buddies. That's what this is. We make brunch for them, and then they come. It's at 10:30 on the first Monday of the month. And we have a speaker that comes, David Flanagan. He's a historian that just moved here last year from Virginia, and he comes and does a talk. He did Charles Lindbergh, he did World War II before that, so every month is a different talk. It's packed, and we're so thrilled because sometimes you just can't get older people in, or they don't even realize there are things for them at the library. So very excited about Brunch Buddies. And these are the guys setting up Christmas decorations. I just had to put that up there because the county is so amazing. And we just love it. Everybody's so quick to help no matter what we do, no matter who I call. I love this county. It's amazing. This is the Gray Garden Club, and they have set up a big fairy garden for us. They did this like a year and a half ago, and every season they come and change it. So this is a picture of them. They come, they're helping me plant. They're always here doing stuff for us outside with our library park that we set up last year. So I want to show the community support we have, because we have everyone in this community supports the library. There's just not enough words to say. And there's 2 maintenance guys. Y'all probably know them, Justin and John. They built that for us. We needed a case for DVDs, and an hour after they built it, that's what it looked like on the right. That's how many DVDs we have room for. So, and that's not even all. We have 3 sections of DVDs free. People can check out anytime, but I brought them in. I said, this is what I need this, and kind of told them, and man, they made it. So again, the county is helping us out. This is the Transition Academy. These are the kids that are 18 to 22 that are still in the high school that are special needs kids. And they go all over the county. I know y'all probably know that, and do lots of things in the county, but they come to the library, they volunteer, they do recycling for us, and also one of them volunteers every week at the library. He comes in and spends 2 weeks, and we rotate some of the kids in and out to volunteer so they can get ready for jobs. So they're amazing, and that's just a picture of them coming in. We had CGTC come, and they set up a whole table for to talk about GED, continuing education. When kids or adults, anybody came in, they were there to give out the information. This is our teen program. We have a big teen program once a month. They're making Christmas sweaters over on the left, cookie Christmas sweaters, and then building Legos. But we have a lot of kids that walk over from the high school, because we're not far, and it's not even maybe half a mile. And they walk over after school and hang out, and parents come pick them up later. So it's so great that we have a safe space, that they know, the parents know, the kids are going to be there, they're fine, and that they're going to be safe till they come get them. So I love that we have a place in the community like that. This is a historical dance class we had one Saturday. A lot of people came out. It was so cool, and she's going to be doing that again this summer. But she came out in her whole big hoop dress and taught a bunch of classes, and we had music, and everybody was dancing, and that super cool. That was super cool. And we just told the kids about history and all that. So that's what that is. That's a historical dance class. And we now have a sewing circle at the library. It was one day a month, now it's two. So it's the first Saturday and the third Thursday of the month, and they come around 2 o'clock and they stay till 6. They're there all afternoon. And then on Saturday, they come at 10 and stay till 2. But we pull out all the chairs and the rocking chairs that we can find, and they have a big circle, and they sit there and they sew all afternoon. They're talking, we have coffee for them, and it's gotten bigger and bigger. I don't know if we're growing out of room, but it's so cool. It's like the old days. I shouldn't say that. Does that sound weird? But anyway, I love it. Like some are cross stitching, some are knitting, some are crocheting. They're all talking and sharing, and it's just tremendous. So that's another program we have. I'm running out of time. Oh, is that upside down? I'm sorry. Is that me? Anyway, this is our adult art class, which we have once a month on the, I guess, third or fourth Saturday, depending on 5 weeks. And they come, we do something every month. Sometimes that's collage, they're making collage paintings there. They made mugs last week. This fills up quick. We usually can only get 12 to 15 because we just don't have the room. But that's another adult class and an adult thing that we do. This was the beekeeping class we just had 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks, 2 Saturdays. It was 2 sessions, so the same people came to both. Session 1 and session 2, we had almost 50 people there that wanted to do beekeeping. And so Terry Moore, he is a UGA certified beekeeper and a master gardener, and he came and did this class. We're going to do another one in the fall. That was amazing. Some people came and said, do you think we got a beekeeping class? And we just figured, it'd be 20, maybe 10, 15 people. We had 60 sign up. We didn't have enough rooms. So we ended up with, I think, 50 that came. But how tremendous. I just love when people just come and say, we want to do this, and can you make this work? And we do everything. I don't think I've said no to anybody trying to make that work, but that's super cool. This is our another tremendous group that we have. This is our special needs 22 years and over. And the library, we've gotten 2 grants for them through the library, and they come once a month, and we either do things at the library, we meet at the library, and we took them bowling one week. We've done we did the historical dance with them. We went to a Jones County basketball game about a week ago. So there was nothing in the community for this group. There was not one thing in Jones County for the 22 and over special needs. And so to start this, we started a year ago. And we wish we could get it to twice a week, because as soon as it's over, they're like, when's the next time we're meeting? But we meet once a month. And as I said, Tri-County gave us a grant for them, and we got one through Rural Library. So it's just so exciting to be able to support this community and have something for them, because a lot of them are home. They don't. Some of them work, but a lot of them don't. So I'm just so thrilled that we're able to be a catalyst in that. This is our computer lab, and you see how full it is, and it's always like this. As a matter of fact, this picture, we just got 2 more computers in there that Middle Georgia Regional Library gave us. They got a LibTech grant, and they gave us 2 more computers in here because we were running out of room. But again, within our computer lab, it's nonstop in there, because we have, we'll get to that in a minute, but most people that come don't know how to use computers, or don't even know how to get an email, or they got to get some kind of form, so we could have a full-time person just in our computer lab, and we're in there all the time helping them print, helping them find things. So that's a huge part of what we do, helping people. Since the printing shop closed down, there's nowhere to print in Gray except the library. We also laminate, we also fax and scan and email, and that's all free. We do that free for them. Now, the laminating is like 25 cents, and the printing is 25 cents, but a copy, but everything else we do is free for the community. And my board, which Debbie's here, she's my head of my library board, and Jason's on the board. And I hope if anybody else, I'm sorry if I missed you. But they voted to do this free, to fax and email and scan free, because so many of our senior and our underprivileged community were coming in and just couldn't afford to do that. And they were going to Ingalls or somewhere, it's $1.75 to send 1 sheet. So I'm thrilled that we can offer that service. And so since the print shop closed, we are a lot of people coming in and getting printing done and needing things, which has helped us. And I'm glad we're there, because there's nowhere else. This is 2 of the guys from Middle Georgia Regional Library System. When we brought the 2 computers to the computer lab, they also brought us a 3D printer and 2 more touch screens for the kids. We already had 1. So all that was delivered a week ago. So we're just so excited about that. We have all that, just more to offer everybody. So And this is the last picture, and this is right before we had our book to movie club. A little girl got there early with her mom, and she set up all of those animals by herself in all those chairs, and then went and got a book and sat there and read to them. I just thought that was so cute.
Wow.
I had to put that in there, because it just shows the impact that we're making, you know, that everybody in the community is jumping in there. From September to January, we had 14,076 people come in the library. That's around to 3,000 something a month. We had 1,400 computer logins. So that's in 5 months, 1,400 people have come in and used our computers. I told you about Growing Greyhounds, Literacy Night. I think I went through everything else. Our summer reading this year, our theme is adventure. Out of all of the libraries, and I might have told you all this last time, but I just have to brag. We have 16 libraries in our region. We are one of the smaller ones. There's 2 really big ones, Mary Vincent and Washington, and there's 3 or 4 that are even bigger than that. I mean, that are bigger than us. But out of all those 16, all of the summer reading numbers that came in, our library had a third of all the numbers. So our little Jones County Library, we had a third of the number came in, the number reading, the million reading, everything. That's just phenomenal. I mean, and again, that's community support, people helping us with our prizes and just supporting. And a big part of that is the Board of Education came in and joined with us. So instead of them having their summer reading and us having our summer reading, we combined it. So now all the kids in the county, the school kids that needed to read or get their prizes or whatever, they are coming to the library. So that was a big plus for us and for the Board of Education, because we can give them all the numbers. You know, we keep all of that. Everything's done. We have a Beanstack app that we do that on. But adventure is our theme this year. We're going to have the Museum of Arts and Science come with animals. We have Star Lab from GCSU. We have a gentleman, Debbie's son, from Nassau, who's coming to do a space camp. We have GCSU arts classes coming. They're doing block painting for oceans. We have Piedmont National Wildlife Refuge coming to do a wildlife show. We have historical dance. We have Pete the Cat coming for Fairy Tale Week, and the Jones County Arts, Children's Arts is also going to be involved with that, bringing their characters. So we've got so many people in our community that are jumping in to help, and it's going to be an amazing year, and we're probably going to top last year's numbers. But the main thing I don't care about, the numbers are amazing, and it just shows the support, but just to see our community come together and work like they do for the library. So thank you, because y'all are the ones that are helping support us. You are our support, so greatly appreciate you very much. And does anybody have a question or anything?
I appreciate your energy and your enthusiasm. I mean, I mean, you love your job, and it shows, because like I said, I got grandkids go there, and I know what the snowball fight is.
Yes,
because,
snowballs,
yeah,
yes.
and I was looking like, you know, we didn't have no snowball. She had a snowball fight, so I know where it's at. But we appreciate you so much.
All of those activities are posted on Facebook?
Yes, they are. And it's Jones County Library. Our other one got hacked, but it's now gone. So Jones County Library, our calendar with everything we do. I put pictures up. You know, there's things ahead. So yes, go to Jones County Library on Facebook. You'll see everything. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank y'all for letting me.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Oh, did you have something?
Good.
Did you have something to say?
No, I sent the link to Jason to forward to you for Georgia Vocational Rehab. At the high school level, we partner with them to do transitional services for our special needs students. So he'll get it to you.
Mr. Burt, your odds and ends.
All right, yeah, we got a couple things to talk about tonight. First of all, I just want to thank you guys for your continued support at Lake Genesco Golf Course. You know, y'all's willingness to continue to provide us resources has really paid good dividends. Unfortunately, you know, because of our success out there, it's created a few little problems that we need to address. For example, last meeting, there was a gentleman that came and he talked about, you know, we used to be closed on Mondays, and people could go up there and fish on every single Monday, but we had a large demand for golf, so we ended up opening up on Mondays, and so that kind of, for safety reasons, put the fishermen out. But we do want to try to look at some options to give them some opportunities to fish. I first want went back and looked at our, budget over the last year, and just to see how productive Mondays were, just to see, well, maybe we need to go back to being closed on Mondays. But we did make about $27,000 on Mondays over the last year. So it's kind of hard to leave that kind of money on the table with the expenses that we have at the golf course. But I do, like I said, want to create opportunities for fishermen, and what I've kind of come up with is we do have some maintenance days throughout the year that we do different procedures on the golf course. And I want to publicize those days and make those available to fishermen. For example, when we aerify the course, or we might have, you know, a major project where we're redoing a tee box or green, or close the course. And I want to publicize those days to the community in advance. And then in addition to that, make them aware that any other course closures, for example, you know, sometimes we'll close in the middle of the day because it flooded all morning long and the course is too wet. Because look, the golf course is closed for golf, but the sun's shining, so if you want to come out and fish this evening, you know, then come right ahead. So just to give those people some opportunities. And the other thing that this might not appeal to everybody, but your diehard fishermen, it might appeal to, is I'm willing to open up the course to fishermen for basically from first light to the first golfer, which during certain times of year would be, you know, up to a couple hours to fish in the mornings. And they can do that on a Saturday morning, like in June, like June 1st, I looked it up, for example, sunrise, I think, is at 6:30 a.m. Well, first light is at 6 a.m. So you could get there at about 6 a.m. and probably fish till 8, because the first hole that's affected by fishing is number 5. So it's gonna be probably 8 o'clock before anybody even gets to hole number 5. So, I'd have our cart staff work with, whoever, if they see fishers out there, they'll give them a warning, look, you've got about 20 minutes before they get to you. But for someone that wants to wet a line on a Saturday morning, this is an opportunity that they've never had before. It won't really interfere with, any of our golfers. And, you know, we'll say the early bird gets the worm. So any fishermen that go by that old saying would realize that fishing first thing is the best time to be out there anyways. The second thing I want to, first of all, does anybody have any questions or problems or see any issues with that?
How big is the fishing hole at the library? I mean, at the,
There's 2
golf course.
ponds. They're probably about, you know, 1.5 acres each. So there's some good fish in there too. I mean, there's been some good fish caught up there over the years.
Some good snakes.
do we stock it, or it's
No,
just?
we don't stock it, but it's naturally stream fed, so there's fish that get in there by courses of nature.
Huh.
You
Do-
thinking about taking off in the morning?
Yeah.
No, I don't fish. I eat it
Damn.
though. But, so I was just curious, is there any other land owned by the county that's fed by some water source that we could create an alternative fishing site?
Not that I'm aware of right now.
Not that I know of.
Is Miller Lake closed?
No, that's a,
Stay zone.
that's a state. And it's got, I don't.
Got
it's
certain
schedule.
times.
Okay. I was just curious if there was, because that might be the other opportunity too, you know, since you're doing such a great job doing all the other stuff you're doing. Create a fishing hole.
Yeah. I mean, it is a golf course first, but like I said, if there's community members that want to take advantage of that resource and there's a way we can provide it, we want to try to do it. So the second issue that we're having at Lake Genesco is we're really getting busy, especially on the weekends. And it's a good problem to have, but it creates other problems. Most golf courses, not most, but a lot of golf courses that are very busy on the weekends, they have what's called rangers or marshals that basically enforce the rules. We have a lot of rules out there that says you can do this, you can't do that, and so forth, but they're only as good as the enforcement. So, and usually you have a marshal or a ranger that rides around in a golf cart and says, you can't do that, or you're playing too slow, or, you know, those types of things. And if you don't have that, it can really ruin the experience for others. Like one of the things that we're having happen a lot is people playing in groups that are too large. On weekends especially, you shouldn't play more than 4 people. Well, we're getting lots of reports and blasting on Facebook of, you know, there's people playing 6 and 7 and 8 people out there. And it's really just hard to enforce without having someone designated to do that. And we do have some cart staff, but most of those people are a lot of high school age people and stuff like that. And the skill set that we need to do the carts, which is like wash carts, pick up balls off the range and that sort of thing, aren't the same skill set, is not the same skill set that we need to deal with 40-year-old people that have been consuming alcohol and we're telling them what to do, you know what I mean? So, what I'm hoping to do, or hoping you guys will do, or give me some direction on is, I basically either would like to seek some additional funding to cover the cost of the marshals, which would be about $10,000 a year, or I would like to go up on the greens fees only for non-members on the weekends by $2, which, you know, the weekend golfers are the ones that are kind of creating these problems, and it is more non-members than not, so it kind of puts the cost on the ones that are creating the need for, you know, a marshal. So that would be my top choice, would be to just increase weekend green fees by $2, and that money would go to cover the golf marshals.
What's that do to us?
Go ahead.
No, what's that do to us, like in comparison to local, like Fishing Creek or
We're
something?
still right along the line, within $1 either way. Our biggest two competitors are Bowden and Fishing Creek, and we're really, you know, in as good of better shape than they are as it is, and cost-wise, we're right about where they are.
So the dollar's not going,
No, I don't think $1 is gonna, or a couple dollars is gonna hurt. We're still gonna be under $30, so, which is very good for what, the product that we're offering.
Does that $2 cover the entire expense?
Yeah. Because basically, as long as we have 8, we're gonna probably pay them somewhere between $13 and $14 an hour. So as long as we have 8 non-members play per hour, that's 16 right there, so that should more than cover it, and we should have actually more than that, so. Now, you know, sometimes it might be a nasty day and, might go the other direction, so that'll be where the extra goes. So, but it is an immediate problem now. I mean, it started, we're not even in our busy season yet, and last weekend, or not this past weekend, but the weekend before that, it was just like a madhouse out there. And so I'm trying to get ahead of this as much as I can. You know, I hate bad press on Facebook saying, we gotta get control of this thing, you know, it took me 6 hours to play 18 holes, you know, that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping this will solve that problem.
And you're talking about just part-time?
That they would be part-time, I would probably hire 4 of
Weekends.
them, and they would probably work 2 4-hour shifts on Saturday and 2 4-hour shifts on Sunday. And we would just monitor that and see how it goes and go from there.
I think you've got it under control.
Do you want them to vote on increasing by $2?
If that's what's needed, then yes.
We got a motion to increase, give them authorization to increase,
Somebody's district.
huh? Yes,
Does it need to be an agenda item?
huh?
For
It's on the
future-
agenda.
It's on the agenda. Yep, it's an agenda item.
All right. Make a motion to approve the rate for non-members by $2 per the instruction of the Parks and Recreation Director.
Second.
Second, any more discussion? None, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right. I understand, I think you got some bragging to do, didn't I see you on a podium on
Oh,
pickleball?
gosh, here we go. Now,
Oh, my gosh, you know, that's what Facebook
We had
does
a
for
good
you.
pickleball, we had a good pickleball tournament last weekend, and I ended up with a really good partner, so I ended up at the top of the podium. So
I saw that.
3 months to the day from my total knee replacement, so I was happy about that, so. Like, yeah. So, had 17 teams, which is pretty good
That's
for a very
great.
cold day.
That's great.
Thank y'all for everything.
All right, good
Good
deal. All right, going forward there, cemetery update. As I promised everybody, update on the cemetery. The main objective for this board is to make sure we preserve the integrity of this gravesite. But the main objection is to make sure the families that are represented in that cemetery are also preserved. Mr. Risner, we've talked about this. We had an update. You've had a couple meetings this week. Can you give us kind of an update where we are on that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So the first thing that we've done there was discussion last time about the boundary of the neighboring parcel there and the location of the monitoring wells and where the graves might be in relation to that property line. So we have engaged a surveyor to come out and look at the property boundaries, the sort of compliance area, if you will, for the landfill, the location of those monitoring wells, and then the location of those newer graves in that area. And so we're going to have produced a single plat that kind of shows all of that on one, and I think that'll help us determine, where we go with that. And so we've got that in motion. We've also reached out to Lynn Strozier with Omega Mapping, and he's here with us tonight. He's given us a proposal to do ground penetrating radar on the entire site. And if it's okay, I'll invite him to come up and talk a little bit more about what he does and his thoughts and his proposal.
Can you put this up on the screen?
Thank you, Mr. Risner. Thank you much.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Good to see you again. And commissioners, it's an honor to be here and share with you what I do, what I've been doing for 17 years. I know it sounds peculiar in some ways, and I don't know many people that do what I do, but among many other things, I map cemeteries. I go into a community like Gray and hearing all this synergy of goodness that y'all are doing. My goodness, what a librarian and also what a manager for your golf work here in the community too. So it's an honor for me to bring to you for your consideration how I might be able to help and to alleviate some of the concerns of the community as we try to honor the heritage that is located there at Walker Pitt Cemetery. And keep in mind, just looking at it as I walk around, I haven't studied the history of it yet, but I would guess the cemetery to be at least 150 years old, maybe 175. At least that, maybe even older than that. I go in and I evaluate the heritage of the cemetery because of people like you who want to honor that heritage on behalf of those who are present. But not only for both of those, you've got a heritage that goes back 175 years. And what you're doing now as a group is trying to protect that heritage, not only on behalf of 2024, but imagine the shelf life going 175 years into the future. We honor the heritage of the past on behalf of the legacy of the future. That's what I do. People like you from, I've mapped cemeteries in 22 states, all the way up to North Dakota, Princeton, New Jersey, down to South Florida, out to Houston, Texas. I've been all over the place. I've mapped more than 300 cemeteries, most of them in Georgia, 200 plus here in the state of Georgia, in almost every county. I mapped the Bradley Baptist Cemetery, not far from where we are right this minute. Mapped a lot of cemeteries in Middle Georgia, originally from Macon, now live in Columbus. And it's an honor to have met with Mr. Risner and also with Mr. Wood out at the Public Works Department, just trying to get a feel for that cemetery. I know how to come in there and determine who is there, not who. I can show you where bodies are located, where caskets are located. I can see a lot how they're turned. I use ground penetrating radar to be able to see essentially air pockets where bodies may have been, unless they were embalmed and protected and or protected with a vault. Even those burials that were in caskets after 50, 75 to 100 years, everything in the ground has decomposed, including the casket and the body. Typically though, what happens is, as it decomposes, as whatever's in the ground decomposes, the ground above it calcifies, hardens, leaving an air pocket. And with my machine, I can see that air pocket. I can measure from head to foot and tell you if it was an adult or a child. I put a survey flag in the center of that burial and then come back with very precise survey equipment. I'm not a surveyor, but I know how to use the equipment. I come back and take a GPS point of that orange flag that I put in the ground in the center of the burial, length and width. And I'm able to tell if there's any encroachment from other burials that are nearby. And in a cemetery as old as Walker Pitts, that cemetery is an old cemetery. I wouldn't be surprised there are going to be burials under the roads, the surface roads that are out there. Obviously, the cemetery predates fencing and highways and public works departments and other landmarks that are out there. What we're able to do is to help you have a good idea of what has been done, what you're doing now, the plans that you're making now, and what you can or cannot do into the future in order to honor the heritage of those who were buried there. You've got to keep in mind, I could show you where my parents are buried at the Macon Memorial Park. And out of all the hundreds of thousands of GPS points I've collected over the past 17 years, those two GPS points where mom and dad are buried are some of the most important GPS points in my life. And you've got to understand that those GPS points out at Walker Pits are just as important. Those are precious places. They are holy ground. Each one of them, wherever they are. We're not going to be able to identify a lot of them. Those air pockets sank, and couldn't fill them all in. You go to other cemeteries, and you see whenever a burial sinks, the sexton of the cemetery will fill that area in for safety, mostly for people to be able to walk around. You can do that now, but what happens is that air pocket will collapse. It's collapsed, and I'm able to see it still. On my screen, I can see what I'm looking at. If I'm looking at a casket, or if I'm looking at a person who was buried in a shroud, a blanket, a quilt, a sheet, I'm able to see the difference by looking at those air pockets. It was an honor to meet out there with Mr. Risner and Sean Woods. It was good to meet with them out there and walk around and just kind of get a feel for the land and see if there's some way that I could help Jones County honor that heritage on behalf of your legacy. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. And you have before you there, I tried my best to expedite and give you a price proposal. What you see on the screen there is the final product. That's the finished product of what I do. You see the burials. That's the cemetery up in Canton. You see the burials, and you also see a red grid placed over the top of that cemetery. A, B, C, D across the top, 1, 2, 3 down the sides. John Doe may be buried in C3. I'd be able to do the same thing and create a cemetery roster for the Walker Pits Cemetery. You would be able to find out exactly where every person is buried just by looking at that roster. For those, and now understand, I wouldn't be at all surprised. It would not surprise me at all. You've got 10.5 acres of ground out there of cemetery, potential cemetery. In that amount of space in a cemetery as old as yours, don't be surprised. There could be 1,000 unmarked burials. It's not unusual at all. Just recently in Columbus, in 7 acres of the most historic cemetery in Columbus, Georgia, 7 out of 26 acres, I found 800 burials, unmarked burials in those 7 acres. So don't be surprised by that. That's not unusual at all per capita to find that many. But more importantly, I can show you where there are spaces that are available for future interments and make sure you don't overlap on where there's already a burial that may be there. I can see that. I'm able to put all that on the map. You see the black circles there on that map? See that circle right there? It's got HC on it. That's the center of an unmarked burial. And the HC means it's high confidence that it is a human remain. Initially, when we were starting out, we would grade the unmarked burials from low probability to high confidence. Now we only call high confidence. We're certain that those are unmarked burials. And you see how they're grouped right there in that part of the cemetery? If you walk there now, you're going to see nothing but a grassy area. It looks beautiful, plenty of available spaces to bury. No, you can't bury there. There are people already buried there. You don't want to encroach on somebody's space, so you want to be very careful about that. But you see, I'm able to give, what we do is we take pictures of every monument, we take pictures of every flag, and from those pictures, and from any other type of flower or a wooden cross or a field stone, I'm able to show you exactly where people are buried. Just walking around, I saw numerous field stones. Some of them are vertical, and anytime you see a vertical stone like that in the cemetery, 90% chance that's going to be a burial, but you don't know if that vertical stone, is it a headstone or is it a footstone? You don't know until ground penetrating radar, and I can see on my screen that air pocket, and that's what determines how I put that flag in the ground. And then it determines when I come back to collect the data, the GPS point. Been doing it for 17 years and love doing it. I'm passionate about doing this. I really am passionate about honoring that heritage on behalf of your legacy. You're doing the same thing. I heard your librarian say the same thing. She's addressing the heritage of your county on behalf of the legacy of those who come behind. That's what you're doing, and that's what I do, and it's an honor to come here and share what I do with people who are trying to do that on behalf of the good of the community. So thank you. Now, that may have created quite a few questions. I got hundreds of stories. I found a cemetery on the Chastain Park Golf Course in Atlanta. How about that? 86 burials. When they built the golf course, they moved all the markers. Go to let's see, that's gonna be WSB.com and type in Omega Mapping Services, and you'll see a story that they came out and did on that occasion. I found 86 burials in a cemetery that they tried to erase. I don't think maliciously, but they tried to erase it. You're not doing that, and I commend you for that. Possibly other administrations before you tried to kick the can down the road. Well, you're not doing that. Congratulations to the community. You want to address the needs of that particular cemetery, and I know what I'm doing to help you address those needs on behalf of the community.
Anybody want to start? Mr. Martin?
I was,
It don't matter.
go ahead.
Age before beauty.
Wait a minute now, I'm the only one here, so that's,
Well, just between the two
He's
of
got
us.
us on both.
Yeah.
what, beauty?
No, age.
I thought you said, I thought beauty might have been played around.
Nah, it ain't factored into this equation.
Oh, okay.
Chairman, I'll say, I think you started off by saying we need to protect the cemetery and more importantly, protect the people that are buried there. Not only for the heritage of who's there, but the people that are still here that have loved ones there. And we've talked about that last time. That's most important for us. I don't know how we can go about that without knowing what we don't know. If we don't have a way of knowing, we may never know who's buried there, but we'll know that somebody's buried there.
Right.
And if we find out that John is buried here and there's an empty space here, somebody may know that John was married to Sally 150 years ago, great-great-grandfather and great-great-grandmother, then they may know at some point that's my family. If we find one spot like that, Chairman, we've done something right. And the flip side of that is we absolutely have to know, with it being an indigent cemetery, we have a limited amount of space, but an unlimited number of people that may not be able to afford being buried. So to keep from having the issues that we've had in the past, where they're buried outside of a cemetery in an area that nobody would want their loved ones at, to buried on top of people that now overlapping other loved ones. I don't know how we don't do whatever it takes to find the money to do this, because I think it gives us a static report of what's there, how we got here, and where we're going.
What's available?
I appreciate the words, because a few meetings ago, we didn't feel that sentiment towards the people by some of the choices that we may have made unknowingly or unwittingly. And this allows us to right the ship and do what's necessary for all hearts and minds to find peace. The other part that's important to me is there an opportunity for families to provide that historical commentary to connect a loved one?
Absolutely.
And is that mechanism going to be easily available, and how do they access it if they can identify a lot?
The proposal includes a web map, which means you will be able to put the Walker Pit Cemetery on your county website.
Mhm.
That will open up the opportunity not only for current census members of the community to share knowledge of unmarked burials of the personality that's buried there, but it will also, genealogists, literally all over the world, can research your community and thereby be able to possibly fill in some of the gaps, some of the unknown. inevitably, when I work in a community cemetery, especially a small rural church cemetery, I'll put an orange flag down. And people drive by and they see that orange flag, and, oh, they know who that is. That may have been the last in the family line, and they come back and they just never had the wherewithal to come in and put a marker down. So they'll report that to the church, who in turn report it to me, and then I can put that name on that unmarked burial. And I love finding the names. I can find what and where, but I don't know the who. And the who's the best part. And if I can find the who from the community telling me that's who's buried beside grandmama, that's great. I can add it to the map without any problem. Or a GIS department, either your own here in the county or someone who understands GIS can add that data very easily. It can be updated easily. And with new burials, the same thing.
And I'm glad you mentioned new burials. At the timing that you go in, and can you put up the map that shows the acreage? I don't know how you start or where you start. So looking at the map, where would you start, out of curiosity?
The red section I would recommend to do first, the west section, and you see the north section I've got there, that's on there. That comes from Mr. Risner's office, and the south section, altogether, that's just an acre and a half. I think those three sections there would be a good starting place. It's gotta be cleared off for me to get in there, and I've already talked to, I think it was Chuck out there today. He's already done a great work for your community to make the ground prepared for my machine to go in there. It's a sonogram on wheels, and it's gotta stay within 1.5 inches of the dirt, and it floats on the dirt. And if there's a stump that's 6 inches high, I've gotta go around it like the tree was still there. So Chuck knows how now, after my conversation with him, preemptively, if I was to come back, he knows how I need to prepare, so I can get in there and work. And understand too, you see, it's basically trees. And those root systems that are there from the trees compromise those air pockets. So I'm gonna do the very best job I can to be able to give you a good, clean picture of what's there, but unfortunately, a lot of those unmarked burials have been consumed. But I can see, when I walked through there, I saw hundreds of them there. But new burials, yeah, I think the goal would be primarily, at least coming from my perspective, let's do everything we can not to accidentally put a new burial on an old burial. Let's honor that heritage, let's honor that person there, that rest in peace, let's let them rest in peace. And a cemetery as old as 173 years, with all the heat and moisture and acidity of the ground, a lot of those burials have already vanished, they're gone. But I think, I can see where the ground was cut at the surface and where it was backfilled, even if that air pocket or that casket's gone. So I can tell you, don't bury here, but there's 3 spaces here beside them where you can.
Is that information provided live while you're working in the event that we have a transition, so someone can be funeralized?
I can do my very best, dear Commissioner. I can do my best. There's not a technical way where I can do that. If I have, today before I came here, I went to Evergreen Cemetery in Macon and did that very thing. A family wanted to know preemptively on behalf of a loved one who was near death, they wanted to know if a space is available in their historic family section. And as long as I know, if I have a funeral director or a family member even who comes out and says, is there any space here where my family is, I'm glad to stop my agenda for that day and walk around and see what's open and flag it if it's open, or paint the color available for them to let them know. And I do that just about every cemetery I go into. People are curious what I'm doing. I think I'm cutting the grass until they realize they don't hear it begin with. And then they come up and for the next 45 minutes, I'm talking to them and showing them that ground penetrating radar work.
And the reason why I asked is I saw the lead time 3 to 6 weeks, and I didn't want, if someone had a loved one transition, I didn't want us to shut a cemetery down for 3 to 6 weeks.
I can help you keep it open.
Okay.
I can. I'm down in Columbus, so there may be some, logistics that we'll have to overcome. But I can help do that. I can help do that during the time I'm doing the work in there.
All right.
That part where most of the burials you can see on the surface where there's ledgers and they're all there together out in the open, that won't take but a couple of days for me to get in there. And now between that area and the area where you have the county, the sanitation area there, that area is real thick and it needs to be cleaned out before I get in there. So that's gonna take a while. But those three areas, north, west, and south, the south is a little bushy, but particularly the west is in good shape. I can get in there rapidly, I think. I can. So I hear your concern, and I will do everything I can to help address that concern. If I know someone that needs to know what the property is and what it's not, I can go there. Now, let me hasten to say, there are times that I find an unmarked burial where somebody thought they were gonna bury their next of kin. And unfortunately, I can, I don't own the dairy, I just milk the cow. I tell them, I show them what I see, and then they can make a decision from that.
Thank you.
John?
Yes, about 2 years ago, I went to West Georgia to Flat Shoals Baptist Church, and I
Yeah.
watched, there was a presentation you did for a cemetery, a 2-acre cemetery that you did for that area. My uncle's a preacher there at that church.
Ah, okay.
And so I was already familiar when this topic came up of what you could do and that sort of thing, and I'm impressed with it. Because I
Yes.
saw their maps and the presentation that you did, and I'm interested in having the entire property mapped. That way we know from one side to the other
Yes, sir.
where someone is placed and what spaces are available to keep the cemetery open.
Yes, sir. And there may be a lot of burial space in
Right.
there, I don't know.
I think in that cemetery was 2 acres, and there was several hundred available spaces, and it was Revolutionary War
Yes, sir.
starting time on that one.
Yes, sir. Pardon, I don't want to take too much time, but in that cemetery in Columbus, it was just 7 acres out of 26. It's the historic area. John Pemberton, the inventor of Coca-Cola, is buried there. I found 800 unmarked burials, but I confirmed over 900 new burial spaces. And those burial spaces in that historic cemetery sell for between $3,000 to $5,000. So it became cost effective for them too. Not that that is your concern at all, I don't think that is.
No.
But I'm of the opinion, just by looking at it roughly, on that north area, up there where the walking pits box is, just looking at that as I drove through, I didn't see as many unmarks up there. So that acreage up there could be open for future expansion, possibly. Now, that is a major guess. But just looking at it, you didn't have near as many unmarks up there as you did in the west to the south. We walked that road over to the highway, and there were unmarks everywhere. I can see it all over the place.
Right, just off the gravel.
Yeah, just off the ground. And this is gonna be something I'm confident. Under that service road, there's probably gonna be burials. It wouldn't surprise me at all, and that may require some engineering just to get the service road around where burials might be. And I've had that happen, where there were burials under parking lots. And churches had to make decisions about what to do, because there was a burial. Just like I found a cemetery on a golf course, right behind green number 5.
So, also, there's probably more up Comes Low Railroad Street there on the other side of Overland too.
Yes. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me even down by the Public Works. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Remember, you're talking about a cemetery that's 175 years old, predating everything in the area around it. So therefore, even the laying of the roads, unwittingly, you put the roads in, but it could be on top of burial. And I've seen that everywhere I go. If you go to Google Earth and look at the Savannah International Airport, on the longest runway, east-west runway, to the left, about 3,000 feet from the end of the runway, on the apron, you'll find 2 ledgers right there under the asphalt. You'll see them right there on the edge of the runway. The FAA approached the family to see if they wanted to relocate their loved one. They didn't want to do it. So they decided, okay, this is what we'll do. And the family agreed to that. And if you look out in the grass beside it, you'll see a whole row of burials. And I'd love to run my machine across there, because typically, what you see on the surface is the tip of the iceberg. And I'll find hundreds, no question. I can see them. I can shoot through concrete, I can shoot through this floor and show you the pipes, show you exactly where they're located.
I love the idea of, being able to reach out to the public, finding like, I look at the south one, that's the Tolls. They're a great number there. Look at the west one, there's a lot of people in that west cemetery that I worked side by side with. Candy Pitts, Simmons, Pitts, wow, Thurman's, a lot of those people in there that could share the information that could be put in, because the history I found on this thing, a gentleman was able to tell me what he knew about it, and over 100 years ago, there was a lot of graves around this county that were put in wood boxes,
Oh, yeah.
horse and buggy, transferred over farmland all over that area, city, county, into that area right there and transferred. A lot of those people did not know, didn't know who they were, but they're buried in that cemetery, and they did it for years and years. And you can see a lot of those holes. I think I'm right where the pine boxes are, because they're more defined, because that pine box is,
Collapse.
collapsed. But I had a older gentleman tell me about it. He said, yeah, he said that goes back 100-something years. He said, all over City Gray, all around the counties, all these unmarked graves and whatnot were transferred there to that area right there, to make sure that they didn't get compromised by farmland or something.
Yes, sir.
And that's what this board's main interest is we don't want people. I had a gentleman give me a hard time that he said, you're burying people on top of people. And I said, that's what we don't want to happen.
And that's why I commend you. The easy thing to do would be just ignore it, kick the can down the road, let somebody else pick it up. Because you got all this push and pull, political push and pull, emotional. That being family ground, you got all this going on, and rather than saying, okay, next generation, y'all worry about it. You went ahead and you rode this bull, and here you are. And I have the skills to be able to help you be able to come to some conclusions. Not 100%, but we're gonna give it the very best try we can. I have a cemetery next week. I'm gonna be in Maryland somewhere. And I've been talking to this congregation for 2 years, and they know they've got a section of their cemetery that they know there's some burials there, but they didn't want to address it because of all sorts of politics. Well, finally, they decided to address it, voted last night. I got the call this morning that they want to move forward. So next week, I'm going to Virginia, and then the following week after that to Maryland to finally address this one section of the cemetery that has been ignored for 200 years. That generation and that congregation has taken the bull by the horns, and even though there's some significant people within that congregation who wanted to let sleeping dogs lie, they're addressing it. And I'm honored that they bring me in to help them address it, because I promise to give my very best heart to making sure that everybody on all sides are, they have an answer to what's going on.
Motion to.
2 questions, Chairman. One, Jason, can we find the money for this?
Yes, Levita and I have talked, and we've got the funding available to be able to
Alright.
do the whole parcel.
Second is a motion in order, Chairman.
Absolutely.
John, you want to make the motion, or you want me to?
Sure, I'll do it. I make a motion for Omega Mapping to map the entire cemetery, Walker Pit Cemetery on Overland at Railroad Street, for the sum of $39,831.
And there's 46,356.
Okay, I missed the last page.
No, that section of the 3, that was a separate. All you
Right.
wanted to do was that 1 acre.
No, they want No, to we do want to do all of it.
That will be inclusive
In the
first-
39.
Okay.
Yeah, that includes the entire 10.59 acres.
That's correct. Pardon for that confusion.
Yeah.
Right.
Second.
Yeah, okay.
Got a
Well, I
second?
was gonna second since
Oh, I'm
it's in my
sorry.
district. I wasn't
Commissioner
gonna
Vaughn,
motion,
I
but
thought it was John's. I'm
Commissioner
sorry.
Vaughn, you like to do the second?
I sure would, thank you.
Any discussion?
None on my part. I'm just glad that we all agree that it's important for us to make these findings of where everybody is there. And with your records that you've got, to help him to identify things that are not marked, that's gonna be wonderful.
Next.
Y'all ready?
I'm ready, Chairman.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Now, question, if we have a loved one were to pass,
Deal with that if that happens,
okay,
Case by case.
you know.
case by case.
So they know they need to contact Jason in the event that.
That's right. If we
There's a
have to
level.
have a call meeting to do so, we'll do so.
Right.
But I want, please work with us. if y'all would like to have a work session out there at the cemetery to maybe help police the
The
area.
cemetery needs to be closed though, except for if something's approved, so that he
Right.
can get in there and we don't have a burial on top of. We need to figure out what's out there, but not closed to visitors,
Right.
but closed to any additional burials
Right.
that aren't approved.
Sure.
I think what she's saying is we need to know about it, not just,
Needs to be
yeah, it has.
approved. The burial's
Yeah.
gonna have to be approved in the location, or we're going against what he's just said, that we're burying people on top of other people. Because a big part of the problem of what got us here too, is that there's burials that nobody knows about, and they're being put in the landfill areas. So that's what we're saying, what will be stopped until we have this mapping is unauthorized, where we have no idea where the burial's going, so we know it's somewhere that there's not someone else. He can be sent out, we can confirm that it's a safe place. I mean, we can't continue to allow burials in the landfill. That's not where anyone wants their loved ones to be. And that would just be temporary until he's finished with his mapping.
Yeah,
We
well-
gotta clean that up. So what we don't want, to your point, was burials on top of burials. We get that.
Right.
But what he said was, if there is a transition, we just need to dialogue with him about locating a space.
So he can
We're
make
gonna
sure
know
it's
where it
clear.
is.
Right,
Yes,
And then,
right. We're just saying the same thing. We're making sure we're saying the same thing.
Right.
That if there is a transition loved one, contact Jason and we'll make sure that he's available so we don't bury anybody on top of anybody.
Exactly.
right. Okay, I'm gonna have the visitors up here. Okay, is there anything, any other questions?
I did have one. If you find a loved one in an area that they should not be, can you determine whether or not we have the ability to transition them to another space? Or do we operate like Savannah and say, sleeping dogs lie, but if it's in the EPA area, that's not an option for us?
Agreed. And what I can do, and be honest with you, there is a protocol to disinter and reinter. There is a protocol working with an archaeologist. There is code whereby we can do that, yes. I've done numerous cemeteries whenever there's a large lake impoundment and churches are below the water level. The burials in those cemeteries have to be relocated. I've been a part of that before with DOT, when they're bringing roads through, they find a cemetery, they bring me in with an archaeologist to determine the perimeter, and then they relocate those burials to a safer place. Those options are available, yes. And it's the family, we can't just go in there. You have to work with the funeral home, you have to work with the code to be able to make it happen, but it can be done.
And we try to contact the family. Okay, amen.
Yeah, we
All
can.
right.
Okay, wait, hold on, I've got some people signed in and we'll have some comment time. Okay, any other questions at this time?
Not this time.
Great presentation. You've answered a lot of questions for me.
Pardon me?
You've answered a lot of questions for me.
Thank you,
That
sir.
was, you know, I've had questions on, people ask me about, and I think this is the fix to what we need right now.
Chairman, any time along the process, any one of you, I'm open to the slightest question or clarification. And I will even be, on behalf of the community, I would be glad to schedule a day, or at least a half a day, where I'm available out there with my machine for anybody in the community who wants to see whether or not spaces around their loved ones are open. I'll be glad to do that.
That's great. Perfect.
Be glad to.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go, ladies first. Miss Deborah, I'm sorry.
it's not, you need to call them when it's time to call the visitors.
What
You
is?
gotta finish your agenda.
No, it's, they signed in for the agenda. That's how you do it. That's why they signed in. Uh-huh. You,
Calling during this visitors and during.
no. They called it, no, they get to, Miss Deborah, while I'm arguing with this young lady right now, we're gonna prove who's like. Would y'all, I've got Miss, Daniels, Renell.
Let's
You
just do
signed in,
whatever
you
we
wanna-
do.
I was gonna do ladies first. I was gonna do ladies first. Reverend, I'm gonna do you. Are you talking for Miss?
He said ladies first though and then called you up.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do ladies first.
Real men wear pink. I thought I had, I sat there, I think we're missing the point, a big point, because I'm hearing, and I want to say this, great, that's great. Yeah,
Is that, the light's on,
You
right?
gotta speak into the mic.
that's good to the-
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Great that he can do this. I mean, I think it's needed. Great that you're trying to get a hold of it. And if we need to go back through this, I think two things are missing. Well, not a couple things. We said 20 years ago it was changed. I've been back 17 years. Nobody seemed to have known when it transitioned into just only people who could not afford. Have we discovered that?
I don't think that transitioned 20 years. What transitioned 20 years ago was from traditional burial to cremation.
So you're not saying, that's not, okay, so that wasn't true. So anybody still can bury there? Because I'm hearing the word approved. If it means approved, just going back through the county, that's a great thing, because I think you need to hold on it. But if it means that they're approved, whether you can have enough money to bury yourself,
No, I think for right now, during this temporary period, we're talking about coming through the county because what got us here is funeral homes burying people out there, and we only know about it when we see
I
fresh
got you.
dirt.
I got you.
That is a problem.
That's a good thing.
That is a problem.
But I'm saying approved, I don't want that approved to be just because we didn't have the money to bury at that time that we buried there, and now we've progressed and we have the finance to bury. I'm going to be penalized because there are a lot of women, I don't see all of them now, who have husbands who have been buried there, and now they're financially better now. And it's not really fair to tell them that just because you're doing better now, that you cannot be buried beside your husband. I want to make that clear because about 7 to 8 years ago, before him, we had a different county administrator, and this same thing came up, and we had the same kind of flood. And what was said in that meeting, we're gonna leave it just the same. Ulysses Knight was one that was caring for the cemetery at that time. I think Beaver came on after he did. And there was such a big fuss because Mary Knight was fussing because I believe you see it there. And she was wondering that because she is well off now, she wouldn't be able to. And that group that was there then said it had to be passed less than 17 years ago that we were going to keep it the same. I believe the point here, and I don't mean to be pushed, but I just love right. You know what I'm saying? I love right. We don't need to come back to this place again for the same thing. It needs to be like settled, and so we will know. I love what he's doing because we don't know where your loved one, but it's heartless to tell somebody that they cannot be buried beside their loved ones, or they don't have a way of getting in there. They're going to be locked out, and they got to on a road where there's gravel. And the young lady, I got old women who were standing with me. They can't walk a mile up in that place to carry flowers to put on their husband's grave or their child's grave. They can't do that. And they've been tearing with me, and it hurts my heart. And I'm almost in tears now because I want you to have a heart. And if that 20 years ago or whatever it needs to do, let us get to the point so we won't have this anymore. And just say, and I totally agree. And I don't think somebody else should be punished for an error that some funeral homes have made. I don't think that's true. Don't punish me for something that my brother did. Punish my brother. Punish them. If it's a problem, and I know it's a problem, and if it means going back through the county, I'll agree with you 100%. I'll agree with you having to tell the funeral home you can't bury out there unless you go and get approval for this burial, but not an approval just because I can't afford a funeral. That's not fair to anybody. I have my brother there. I don't want to be locked out. My oldest brother is there. I got people who got, in the church where I pastor, who have people who, I mean, when I mentioned it Sunday, I could see tempers flaring. And in a time like this, the way where our government is now, we don't need no flares nowhere. This is a simple fix to me. Tell us to just go back through the county. Just go back through the county and get approved in that matter, but not just for, you know what I'm saying? Not just for that. I sit, and you may see me sometime, I drive to the courthouse. I can't physically touch my mom and my dad. But I go there. He was the World War II. He fought for this country, and he loved this country. He never would have done what Kaepernick did. I'm not saying I disagree with him. He never would have done that. He loved this country. He did. And every time I hear taps and hear that bugle playing, I cry. Jones kind of love us back. We love here. I intend to wear my JC hat tonight. Love us back. Love us back. Love us back. Love us back. And they are grumbling because they're not hearing you say, you can still bury there. Just come back through us. I believe I'm on point with that. I believe that's what they want. I really do. They don't want to be told that they can't. They can't see they don't have the freedom of going to, some of them still have holes in their heart. They don't. And 50 years and you don't tell me I can't go sit to the place where I last rested my husband or my wife. That's just not right. This is not right.
Ms. Purnell, you still like to come forward? You signed in? Ms. Deborah?
I think Reverend Green has spoken, yes. Because I only have some questions. You can just think on these. My question was, I guess it's just, I just can't remember or don't know, just need an answer to these questions about the land. How was the land acquired? I don't, because I did some research and I'm just in my mind, just don't know the answer. Just some answers that I just need. How many acres are space still available? I think he might have answered that, and he's going to do some research on that as far as the mapping goes. And then who determines what a person's financial standings are and when it pertains to burials? That's one of the questions. I don't know if you all already answered it, because I'm always, and are there any Native American descendants buried in the cemeteries? I guess when he does the mapping, he'll be able to determine and let us know if there are any once he determines who's buried out there. And maybe you all know who actually is buried out there as far as any American descendants. And why is this an issue since we all are taxpayers and no one is banned from burial at the cemetery? Because I'm thinking that anyone can be buried out there at the cemetery since we all are taxpayers. And my last question is, if you all can ponder on these questions and give us an answer, why would a person desire to travel to various cemeteries if their family members can be buried at one cemetery? And so those are some of the questions that I've been thinking about. And I just need to know an answer if you all could just ponder on those questions and just let me know if you have any answers to those various questions.
Answer the first one.
Okay,
1981.
1981.
The county purchased the land that is at the courthouse recorded. They furnished Oliver Bateman. They purchased for $10.
For $10.
For $10, the cemetery and the land that the landfill's on in 1981. 1982, the landfill was opened up which is now our landfill today that we're having to monitor. And the area was surveyed out for the cemetery separate to the landfill. And that's one of the issues we have today is we've got graves that have been buried in the landfill area that we've got to get with EPD. We're going, there's processes to go through. We don't know what they're going to require us to do. But we're having a survey done so we can address what's in the landfill, what's in the cemetery. This gentleman here is going to be able to address to make sure that there's none we're missing. And then at that point, we've got to sit down and figure out what EPD is going to require us to do. I hope they'll just let us survey around those newer graves that's in there and rechange the plat. But that was the question of when we acquired it. It was acquired in 1981 from Oliver Bateman. It's like I said, recorded in the courthouse for a sum of $10, what it shows, and then at that time, that's when the survey was broke up to.
Okay, I guess I'm just a little bit confused. Walter Pitts, it says Walter Pitts Cemetery. Walker Pitts. So, and then you all purchased it from Oliver Bateman. Where does the two come in at?
Don't know anything other than when the county purchased the property. It was 1981.
So the county purchased the property from Oliver Bateman.
Correct.
The Batemans owned most of that property in that area. They had Peach Groves, where the high school is, where Gray Elementary is, pre-K, Bateman's, storage, all the way up to Stewart Avenue. That was all peach orchards. That was the Bateman's peach orchards.
Okay.
And a lot of those,
And everything that was Hidden Lakes and that area was also the Bateman property.
a lot of those graves were moved in off the Bateman property and its surrounding areas to that location. So because that way they, were protecting the integrity of the graves.
I guess I'm just still confused. What does Walker Pitts come in at? Where,
I've tried to look it up and it don't.
That's what they're just calling it.
That's what they're calling it, Walker Pitts.
Does anybody
Who are
have any
they?
idea?
who are they?
Are those two last names, or is that one?
Those are two different people, Walker and Pitts.
That's what I'm thinking.
Two separate people.
I know there is some rocks that Jake Hutchinson, if you look out there, there's one area that Jacob Hutchinson obviously made because they were, exact same lights that we've got at the courthouse and everything now. There's an area there that Jacob Hutchinson obviously brought the stones back in and, no telling how far back.
Chairman, I think a lot of those questions would be answered by Mr. Strozier when we get a lot. And what won't be answered will be hopefully with historians and family members and relatives of folks that if we, like he said, we can find out what
Okay.
sizes and
Right,
all that, just
exactly.
not the names of who they are if we don't have records of them. It'll depend on a lot on the community to help us with that.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
All right. We had a couple more questions. This is a public meeting. Anybody else want to speak on something we haven't talked about? No one? Well, I'm looking forward to seeing this. Like I said, the comfort to know that if a loved one needs to be buried there, you can make sure we're not putting it on, and preserving the integrity. Because there's a lot of history in there. A lot of people I got to walking through it. I could not believe the people I worked with years ago. They were buried there, and it was like a walk back through time. All right, next agenda item. Mr. Risner, we've got a GAFA resolution.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. So a couple meetings ago, the board approved some documents related to the additional funding for the industrial park sewer. This resolution pertains to a loan modification for the original funding we received. It just pushes out the project completion date. And so there's a resolution that GFO requires the board to approve as part of that process.
You've heard Mr. Risner. We got a motion to.
I make a motion to accept the resolution for the GFA
All right, we have
loan modification.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? None. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Number 5.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we postpone the voting dele for GOSAC and RAC slate consideration. We've got a little time on that, and I think we need to just
Research it further.
research it.
I agree.
Of what requirements. There's 3 requirements and 4 possibilities, so I think we just need to kind of see what that means. Give us time to talk with DFAX and sheriff on it as
All
well.
right, good deal.
Yeah, 'cause I was reading through it today
All right.
too, and
We
it
got a motion, we have a second?
Second.
was a second.
Any more discussion? None, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Ayes have it. No old business. Department heads. Bert? You good? Hadn't missed nobody in the back, have we?
No,
I don't see any.
Mr. Risner?
I don't have anything.
Okay. Anything? Citizen comments. Any citizens like to come forward tonight? No citizen comment? Just introduce you and
My name's Ken Adams, live at 430 East Virginia Lane. I just want to know if we're making any progress on our problem with the containers and the everything that's went on with it.
I'm not aware of it. I know we've talked about it and whatnot, but
Why don't we have a workshop meeting on my back deck? That'd be great for me. I'd love that.
let's do some more. I mean, I'm gonna apologize. The wheels of government turn slow. And
Well, the questions that I have, I'd like to try to find answers to is, number one, how many times in the last year to 5 years has someone been given a second variance meeting? I would say that it's gonna be highly irregular. Because they had to be sent a letter in the beginning to move them. And then they appealed and was given a hearing, which was denied. And the morning of their court date is when planning and zoning head person met behind closed doors at the courthouse to, get them a second one. Which again, I think is highly irregular. And my question is I'm being told that I don't have an opportunity to get another hearing. If they're given 2 hearings to try to get a second variance, why can't I have a second hearing to try to stop the variance? Seems fair to me. And, now we got the problem that the property's in foreclosure, gonna be sold on the courthouse steps, March the 5th. And I've asked about that. I said, now what happens to the variance? Well, the variance goes with the property, not the owner. So, we've got a lot, this is a mess. This is turned into a big mess. And, I don't want to have, I want to settle this, here. Hopefully y'all will correct this injustice. But, all I can do is voice my opinion, and like I say, I invite every one of you to come into my backyard. Every morning I walk out my back door, my blood boils hot of this mess. It looks like a junkyard. And, and I get no good reason why it happened, why it went that way. So I guess that's all I got.
But
So,
before you go, Mr. Chairman, we did ask the question, as a matter of the ordinance, the variance process, operational law, what new information was presented to cause an overturning of the variance that this board?
You had an email, I think, on that, correct?
I got some basic stuff, but I don't think personally that was information enough to turn our decision. Do you think it was?
We didn't make this board didn't make the decision for the variance. But the board that had the ability to do that, I think.
Right, but they're supposed to operate with some new information that would cause them to make a different decision. Again, I'm using operation of law to address that, as opposed to it's just a letter from a constituent that says, I have cancer or something else is going on, and that's the reason why the board would make that change. We have to make a decision based on the confines of the ordinance. Does it fit with the neighborhood? et cetera, et cetera. And of course, we did not see that as a reason to support their request for the variance. So what I don't understand is what information were they presented with that led them to make a different decision,
Should be in the minutes.
right?
I mean, we wouldn't.
And if that was not valid, right,
It's in
if
the
that was,
minutes.
Yeah, I sent you what I was getting.
right, if that was not, again, I didn't feel it was a valid reason. So if it wasn't a valid reason by operation of law, then what? What's the remedy?
I mean, you all appointed that board. I don't have to-
That's the board that,
I don't disagree with that. I know what we did, and the person that I have here voted against it, obviously. But if that board made an erroneous decision, then what?
I don't think there's an appeals process. I think the process would be you bring in new board members. I mean,
Okay, so once again,
and then you've got to look at the reasons and who, are they subjective? I mean, who determines that they're
you,
valid or not valid?
I got you. You smile, but if I moved a container into your neighborhood,
I'm
you
not
wouldn't
smiling,
smile.
I'm just saying there's
I'm
not,
just using that
that's
as
not
an
an
example.
easy answer. It's not like a 1 + 1 = 2 answer.
But it should be, because we wouldn't allow a container in a neighborhood.
Well, you appointed the board though.
I don't, and my board voted against it. But we have a person that's on the board and a group of people that did not use the confines of the board rules to make that decision. Because if they did, then we wouldn't have a container in the neighborhood.
Well, I put it on the agenda for them to come and answer why, what they felt changed.
Next meeting.
do you want me to put it on the next agenda to have that board present?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I have the reason they changed it.
I mean, we're gonna have the board.
I mean, let
Well, I
them
know,
speak for
but
themselves.
I asked that question point blank and was given a point blank answer in writing. It was the letter. They only give them a second variance and only voted that way because of a letter that she give them. What has that got to do with the law? You know,
So that was their new evidence, is whatever was in the letter. But
it doesn't matter.
you're gonna have to let them speak for, I mean, you appointed them to make those decisions.
Oh, I don't
Put
disagree
them on
with
the
you.
agenda to,
So I'm gonna ask you, County Attorney, if we're not okay with their decision under the law and what real information was used, can the board be removed and the decision be rescinded by a new board?
you know, I'll have to look.
Thank you.
And when did they find out this property was gonna be foreclosed on? After they give them the variance? Before they give them the variance? All that matters in this, you know.
Well, I mean, I buy foreclosures for a living, so that might be an opportunity for you. I mean, just saying, it might be an opportunity for you to, pick up an ISO. And I'm just,
Well,
I
that
mean-
could come to that, but I don't want it. I don't want to be a landowner. I don't want to be a property owner
Sure.
and have to deal with the rent to people. Yeah, let's just say that did happen though when I bought it. What recourse do I have to have the variance revoked?
move the containers, if you own it there.
Yeah, but that don't mean that if I sold it to somebody, they couldn't put one in.
I think once the containers are gone, that's after X number of days, I think 60 days, it goes away. Am I correct on the zoning on that one? But,
That would be
Legal
another
question.
thing to know, you
Yeah.
know, because
right.
I was told that it went with the land, not the landowner.
You know, if it goes absent and that it can't just sort of reappear,
Right.
But-
the variance would cancel itself.
It's just a lot of unanswered questions, and I'm almost to the point, I think the only way we're gonna get to the truth is those people that were involved sitting in front of a judge under oath. I think we're not far from that point. And I don't wanna spend my money like that, you know? Let's settle this thing the right way. And I feel like y'all are the right way, so.
Well, Commissioner Martin's got it on the next meeting agenda, and we'll ask the board to come in and explain.
Okay,
All right,
keep digging.
all right, thank you, sir. Any other citizen comments?
I got one.
Come on, Chris.
Comment, one question.
Come on.
To the board.
We know what you are, or who you are. Just go ahead and introduce yourself, because some people outside, watching on the.
The question been asking me every time I go by the cemetery, have they took the lock off, the padlock? so they can go in to see the loved ones. Since we all agreed that they could go in now, but they gotta go through Jason to get buried there. We didn't wanna know when I get home, when the padlock gonna come off.
So who's gonna keep them from burying?
No.
People.
Commissioner, Sam, I don't think nobody will be going there buried. Understand me? The question's been asked. When the padlock coming off? We always had a dummy lock on it. The 11 years I've been down here. Never been locked. I go by, see it open, I shut it. That's all they're asking me. When the lock gonna come off?
I don't have no problem with the lock coming off. What I'd love to see, seriously, I would love to see, and I'd be willing to help. I would love to see a group of people come out there and police that cemetery. All the trash, I
I understand about that.
I know, you see what I'm saying?
I understand about that.
I mean, a great improvement could be done by just, there's old flowers arrangement thrown out through the woods and stuff. A lot of the riffraff, I even heard a couple of your employees talking about them having to pick up riffraff from the the high school students going in there, Lover's Lane, stuff like that. Okay, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? That cut down on that. There was drug paraphernalia, there was Lover's Lane going on back in there, and you were probably the ones who was help picking that stuff up, wasn't you?
Yes, I were.
All right, so you know what I'm talking about. You ain't had none of that, have you?
Well, no.
Yeah.
Chairman, are we okay with the dummy lock?
I have no problem with the lock.
How about you, Jason?
Lock's fine with me.
Who got the key? I can take off tonight when I go.
I go that way.
Yeah.
But
Just-
Chris,
Oh, wait, okay.
Why can't we arrange a time?
Here's the thing.
They wanna visit.
Lock it at night. Open it up in the day.
no, I understand what you're asking for, and I understand that if my family was there, and I was not able to walk in there, I'd want that too. I would probably call Jason and say, I'm going Saturday, somebody needs to be there, open that gate. I know that's not always feasible, but you have to understand that we're trying to stop a problem that is burying people illegally on property that's not even where we need them buried. We found out by having red clay that somebody was buried there. We didn't know anything. They didn't come through the county like they're supposed to. In those burials, they're supposed to go through the courts, through the county, from the funeral homes, and they're not doing that. They're just going out there and burying people wherever they want to, and that's not fair to the families that are burying people. And I get it, but we're in this situation because the EPA is asking us, why are you allowing people to be buried? You got to do something. They're telling us we got to do something by law. And now we're making everybody mad because we're doing something by law that EPA is requiring. And that's a bad spot to put us in. And you're saying, why do y'all put the locks on it? Because somebody buried somebody in a landfill. Simple as that.
I don't agree with that, but it might be true.
Oh, it's true.
I don't agree
It's
with
a
that.
fact. It's not a, it's a fact.
I don't agree with that.
What don't you agree with? That they buried them there? Because they did. Somebody buried them there. The EPA has let us know it. We don't know. Nobody came through us.
In the landfill.
We're trying.
On property
we're
of the, off the cemetery property, on landfill property.
We're trying at this point to take that landfill is governed by the state.
I know that.
Okay, well, we're trying to get that because we've crossed that threshold that we don't have to be governed anymore. But we still have to go, just everything we do at that landfill, whether it's where the limbs are piled up at, whatever, has to go through EPA.
I know that too.
Well, we're trying to get that lifted so that we're not governed by the EPA. But right now, we've got to do what they tell us to do. And like I told the gentleman, I hope EPA, EPD, or whatever they go by, the state, come in there to the, where we've got the cemeteries, the new graves that are in the landfill, and just tell us, all we have to do is survey them out.
Okay.
That would be a win. But if EPA says, oh no, you have to take and you have to move each and every one of those graves that have crossed over. Remember I told you that in 1981, they surveyed the cemetery all separate than the landfill?
Right.
Well, you know, it ain't hard, Chris. You go out there, you can see it. You can see where the metal T-posts are. And they've already moved that line one time. And now they're getting ready, we have to go and figure out what we have to do next. This gentleman here is gonna give us a full layout where people can be buried. Our surveyor is gonna have everything laid out. We're gonna have the old cemetery, it's gonna show the graves, it's gonna show EPA, okay, we've got this number of graves that's crossed over into the landfill. And hopefully the EPA just says, y'all survey them, into the cemetery, and we're good, but we don't know where they're gonna be at. That's above our pay grade, way above our pay grade. But as this board, we are trying to do everything by the book,
Okay.
okay?
So just so we're clear, he can take the padlock off tomorrow, so people
You
can
got a
visit?
key probably, ain't you?
Okay.
No, they didn't give me a key to this one.
Huh?
And we lock it up at night. How about that?
Well, I don't think they're burying them at night, so.
Well, you said keep the kids out.
No, we're keeping illegal burials is what we put the lock on there for. I mean,
So we have a mobile camera, don't we, that we paid for through the sheriff's department? We have a mobile camera that we're supposed to use for trash. Can we drop it over there to solve that issue too?
I guess we can ask.
I guess
the
we get,
sheriff.
Right.
call Travis and say, hey, we need a camera set up, because,
Okay.
because,
Get the camera set up, then it can be unlocked, but there's got to be a
Put one over
way
there in Clinton the other day, 'cause I was over there.
to govern.
what'd you do?
Well, they put a sign.
Oh,
Yeah, they put up a remote camera.
yeah, they moved
And
them
I can
all
see
over.
myself on the camera.
Okay,
Yeah. So you got a key? I unlock it in the morning.
No, the camera needs to be put out there first.
Okay. Thank you very much.
thank you,
Appreciate it.
all right. All right, we
Trust
got-
y'all.
Okay, I got a young lady back there, got her. Like I said, this is the public meeting, and it's y'all's time to speak. Like I said, we're trying to give everybody opportunity.
Good evening.
Okay,
Good evening.
could
My
you
name
give-
is Dazona Bell. I work at one of the funeral homes here in Gray. And I want to just ask you one question.
okay.
All the letters that you say you sent to the funeral home, I got a question. Did y'all send one to Jones Brother and Hutchison? I know they're not here in Gray.
Jones Brothers, yes. Where is Hutchison?
In Macon?
Is it on,
Pinona?
No.
there was one, there were two in Macon that I sent it to. I think Robinson was the second one. So there were,
Well, Hutchison also come out here and buried.
okay. Okay.
So it ain't like when we have a service, we get in touch with whoever we need to get in touch with. You need to check with the ones that's not here in Gray. I'm just saying.
Real quick, can we get your name and address again for the record? We've got to keep up. Your name again, I'm sorry,
Days on
and your address?
Gray.
Oh, ma'am, we have to do it for the record. I'm sorry. I'm not trying
I
to
stay
pry.
in Gray.
Okay, I'm not trying to pry into your privacy. We're just for the
Okay.
record.
All right.
All
All right,
right, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Reverend, you already spoke. I'm gonna let this gentleman back here.
I'll be brief.
Okay, well, I had the gentleman in the back, but
I understand.
I promise you're next.
For Sherwood, 436 East Virginia. This is about shipping containers. Sam made a mention that an investigation was going to be launched into it. I just want to follow up with that, make sure that it does happen. I appreciate Daylon. I am his spokesperson on the P&Z board. So with this property going into foreclosure, we need to do something post-haste because of the variance carrying over and the situation. So I've said my piece. Mr. Adams had a lot to say, and, thank you.
All right, gentleman in the back, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I had two people on the left side of the room with their hands up.
Okay, I'm Wayne Green. I've been
What's your address?
My address,
Yes, sir.
117 Wilson Street, Gray, Georgia.
All right.
Okay. I've been listening. You all have some real issues, and I'm listening at everybody. It's like this, that, and nobody know what's happening, but it's a simple solution. I'm just sitting back listening at everybody saying something. There's some boundary issues here, some real boundary issues. How could someone go out there and bury somebody in the wrong place if Jones County had the boundaries set where they shouldn't bury?
That's the point.
That's the point.
That's the point.
O-
They're
Okay,
going out there without
nobody,
anybody knowing.
nobody said boundary. This is why I'm standing here. If you fix the problem and you don't set some type of boundaries out there, you're gonna be back here again.
That once we get the area surveyed and mapped, then we can figure out what needs to be done. Does there need to be fencing to stop it from continuing?
Now
to
you're
go?
talking.
So there's more than just this one step.
Okay.
But the mapping is the first step.
Okay, so y'all have a committee formed,
We're gonna schedule a work session.
work section?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Because there are more steps
All
needed.
right. Don't you think it'd be a good idea to have some of these brilliant people out here working with y'all?
Exactly. That's what we are
In the work
begging
session,
for.
everybody.
You're
it's-
begging for some of them?
Everyone we would ask to attend that has an interest in this in
To,
the work
to,
session.
to sit in on this working session?
Yes.
It's a public, we
Work
had
session.
we had a work session before this meeting. We had a work session. I promised a work session at the last meeting, that we will have, if it takes numerous work sessions.
No, I'm not, so you talking about everybody in here, I'm talking about a work session where you working, identifying and fixing specific problems.
Yes. And the first thing though was to have it mapped, and then we've got to figure out what's the next step.
Okay,
What's the boundary lines, or is there fencing needed?
Is
you
there
know?
bodies that we're gonna have to
Move.
exhume and inside of the boundary lines of the cemetery? All of those things.
okay.
So the mapping's not just, all the problems are going to be resolved.
No,
The
no,
mapping's
no.
the first step.
I still don't think you heard what I just said. There is a process if you just go in and identify all your problems, listen at some of these people, tell you what all the problems are, and then work each problem specifically, this and that. Make sure you close the door on all these future problems so that we don't come here and do this all over again. But I see what you're saying, you're having working sessions, but I didn't feel invited to your working session. You saying you're inviting everybody to come to the working
It
session?
hasn't been scheduled yet.
No, we had a work session prior to this meeting for the volunteer fire department. We'll have a work session for y'all. We had you on the agenda tonight, public meeting. Y'all to be, I mean, if we had to fill the Knox Center, we'd move this meeting to fill the Knox Center if need be.
Okay.
The work session on this topic to identify all the problems and what are the solutions has not been set yet.
Okay, that's what I'm
Yes,
talking
sir.
about.
I promised the last meeting that we would have multiple work sessions. I put it on the agenda for
Okay.
updates, for everybody here can know where we're at, what we're trying to do to fix this, and how we're going forward.
Because
that's
there's
some
some
brilliant-
problems
that's
that
some
can't be
brilliant
resolved
minds out
without
here.
the mapping.
Exactly. I
And
mean,
they could
like
help
Miss
fix
Deborah,
some
I
of
know she's the historian.
Yeah.
And that's why she's got records that we don't have.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So that's where we've got to work together to resolve this.
And you got a lot of people out here that work in
Amen.
private industries that solve these kind of problems. Think about it.
But we don't know even what all the problems are without the mapping.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
It's some
That
people
is
out
all
here-
in the work
There's some
session.
people out here probably can tell you about some problems that you aren't even thinking about right
Right.
now, that we're sitting back here
Right.
listening at. Like, for one, I'm just sitting back and I'm just thinking about boundaries. I was listening for somebody to say boundaries, and nobody said, but once we get this all done, we're gonna set boundaries. If you don't say it, put it on paper, it's gonna slip through the crack.
Well, and so there are property identifying markers there now that no one pays attention to. And so that's why we say there's plenty of other problems, like does it need to be fenced, things like that. But we wouldn't even know where the fence line goes until we identify these that are outside and our EPA issues. But yes, a work session is going to involve the community and identify that there certainly are other problems, and we need to find solutions for a wide array of issues that are going on.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Reverend Green, you already, you
That
need,
gentleman over here.
I got this gentleman right there.
I told Mr. Rhodes, I said, that's my brother. You probably could tell. Just one thing. I think it's real simple. I spent 30 years of solving problems. I mean, and that as a pastor, I'm solving problems from Henry County all the way back down to South Georgia and to the west and to the east, for us Griffin and Spalding, Spartan. We got a camera. All we need is a sign that says cemetery open from this time to this time, and no loitering will be prosecuted. And put that at both ends. And if somebody is loitering, they won't have. If they want to have Lovers Lane, they can go to jail with Lovers Lane. And then that'll strike a lot of things out as well. Then I'm serious. If you put a sign on both sides, we make. Don't you make your own signs?
They're going to contact the sheriff about cameras.
Yeah, to get the cameras. And like where I went, I retired from Houston County. And the signs, they put the signs that will be prosecuted. Unauthorized burials will be prosecuted. And let them know and shoot it to them. I don't care. But that'll keep them from thinking that they'll be pushed away from their loved ones. That's me. Miss Wendy said she's gonna put me on some
Committee. I am.
Good evening, Commissioners. Reverend DeShage from Mount Salem. Just sitting here listening, and I'm about maybe solutions for right now. So after I leave this meeting, what do I tell my parishioners when they can go back to see their loved ones? Tomorrow, Friday?
We're taking the lock off.
Yeah, I heard, I saw a few of y'all shake your head that the lock would come off, and then the county attorney, she was like, no.
There's a man gate, but I understand that's for persons that's disabled or can't walk a long distance, that hinders their ability to visit. We understand that. But until we get the cameras up, and there will be a call to the sheriff's department first thing in the morning for that to be put into motion.
This afternoon. I'll call Travis this afternoon.
They probably,
Tonight.
I don't think they're gonna move them at 8 o'clock at night.
No, but I can tell Travis I need that camera up
Right.
there. I got his personal cell phone number, so I think I
Yeah,
can make that happen
certainly within the
tonight.
next few days, the camera should be moved and in place so that we can unlock the gate for visitors.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
I just
sir.
wanted to know what I need to
That's
tell.
not something we want to hold off. We just have to stop the unauthorized
Right.
burials until we can get a hold of this EPA and situation.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much.
Thank you.
And we think we really do.
Anything else? All right,
Yes, ma'am.
we got one. Just introduce yourself and your address.
Brenda Middlebrooks,
Yes, ma'am.
133 Slocum Road.
Okay.
I did get a call from Mr. Chuck on last Wednesday about the ditches, y'all, the water running. He said, be patient with him. He gonna see what they can do. So I'm just letting y'all know I did get a call from him.
Great.
Thank you, ma'am.
Great. All right. Commissioner comments. Who wants to start? Miss Vaughn. Ladies first.
Nothing. We've done enough tonight.
Commissioner Martin. You thinking about that?
Nah,
additional
look, you know, there are simple solutions, and I'm happy that the lock is coming off. I don't agree with the county attorney. We said tomorrow, so that's the day that the lock will come off. And then we put the camera up when it gets there. At the end of the day, we want to make sure people have access to their loved ones, and it's that simple. I can't wait till you get started. I'm excited about the process. I've never wanted to walk a cemetery before, but I'm going to come out and see what's going on.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I spent 2.5 hours out there, and like I said, there's a lot of people I work side by side with buried out there, and it's just unreal.
Yeah, I want to see this process, and I want people to really be involved. Thank you, Brother Green, for coming up and clarifying what work session meant, because we do mean everybody can participate. The gentleman from Omega said while he's out there, he's welcome to people coming out and observing the process too. So that is another day for families to kind of see what's happening out there and maybe even make a connection, you know, with who's out there. So I hope that happens. So I'm excited about that. Government doesn't have to be difficult, and I think when we communicate clearly and all hearts and minds are on the same page, we get there. So let's continue to work towards that.
Isn't it?
I didn't want to say anything, but now I am, because he gave me a great idea while he was sitting there. Why don't we try to have a community day at the cemetery where all the families that know that they have family members out there, we can get together and we can see, and you can walk to where you think your families, if they're unmarked, and we can have something together out there on a cleanup day, and let's all work together on it. I mean, we do a cleanup project every year, and this is property that is our county property that we need y'all's help on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one way that we can get that done, is all of us going together. Yes, ma'am?
May we have the name of the person that's gonna do that?
Me.
And the day that we can.
I will let you know.
May I have your number?
It's on the commissioner's page, but I'll give you a card too, on the website.
No.
I'll give it to you.
As soon as you walk in the door, it's on the right-hand side. We're all posted there with all of our phone numbers. Yeah, you're welcome.
I like, that's exactly what I was talking to Chris about. I mean, a cleanup, it'll make this gentleman's life, I can't do it this weekend, but it'll make this gentleman's life a whole lot easier if we can go up there and clean up. And I mean, it's needed, and I'll be more than happy to help. Mr. Wood?
A lot of good points with the other commissioners made tonight, and I appreciate the public coming, because it takes everyone to make this happen, and we're gonna get there. Just have to be patient and communicate with one another. That's all I have.
I'll echo everything they've said. I'll say one thing that Dayline hadn't said, that other than him he's been here long enough that he's a transplant now. He's been, you've been here 15 years?
23.
23 years. See, he's one of us now. There ain't no, I mean, everybody else is probably third or fourth generation Jones County. I grew up with every one of y'all's kids or grandkids, went to school with them. I mean, this is community. I mean, the heartfelt passion coming from there, and the heartfelt passion that I know that's been done behind the scenes. There's nothing in me that says that we're trying to do something against y'all and y'all are trying to do something against. That is not happening. I know I've talked to the chairman probably 20 times in the last 2 weeks. One time while he was walking around the cemetery, one time when he just got off the phone with the EPA, one time when he got off the phone with the surveyor, one time after we talked about Mr. Strozier coming and doing all. I mean, there's been a lot going on behind the scenes, because we know how important this is to fix now, not to fix later. And when we say, you know, government wheels don't turn fast, you're right. But there is importance and there is push, and I think that is coming from this board. I see it behind the scenes, so just know that it is a problem that we just found out about. Now we got to find out what all problems are tentacles of that problem. And just please know that we love this community just as much as we love y'all, and we will get it right.
All right, Ms. Fawn, I need a motion to adjourn and go to executive session, hopefully
Making
short.
a motion to adjourn to go into executive session for real estate
And personnel.
Second.
No
real
personnel, just
estate.
real estate. Do we need this, we still need the real estate, or we got any? Okay, all right, that'll be quick.
Second.
Chairman, may I say one thing?
Sure.
Quickly.
He whispered
Quickly.
in my ear a great stuff. He needs to say this. It really is great.
Absolutely.
Friday at 10 o'clock in Statesville, North Carolina. I've been asked to speak on behalf of the Ministerial Association at the Green Street Cemetery in Statesville. I found 2,400 unmarked burials. The ministers and the Ministerial Association have invited all of their congregations to come and be there for a rededication of that cemetery. And I would commend that for your consideration at the end of the work sessions and all that you're going to do, and I'll be glad to help in that, that you have a rededication of that cemetery that will cover 173 years to date. And I think that'd be a great way
Yes.
to bring unanimity into the community.
Great, great. All right, thank you. I need a second for the executive session. Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank everybody for coming.